Let's get into some more homosexual news. Let's talk about Heated Rivalry. So, since the show's been off the air, because they only had a 6 episode season, the numbers have pretty much been growing in regards of how many people have been tuning into Heated Rivalry. And so, I think Forbes had this information. Um, Oh no, I got it from the Rap, but I know it was a lot of places that was talking about it. So shout out to the Rap, by the way. So yeah, they're continuing to grow in viewership more than a month after the conclusion of its first season. So I guess with all the hype and everything that was going around, a lot of people weren't on board for the beginning. Like with me, I will say this: when it comes to these type of shows, I don't like when the Heartstoppers and all the other shows that was coming out. I didn't really jump or Boots. I didn't really jump on those shows because I kind of felt like I wasn't the demographic. Like I didn't care and I feel like I couldn't relate to a lot of those type of shows. So I didn't really watch them, and then they ended up getting canceled. But Heat of Rivalry, there was something. I don't know. It was something about it. I think it was the sport hockey, but I do work in the garden, so I'm working a lot of Ranger games. So when watching that, I was like, okay, I'm familiar with hockey because I work the venue and I get to watch the games and I get to see how everything works and that sort of thing. So there was a relatability there. Then it was the gay angle, and I was like, "Oh, we got something with sports and closet homosexuals and all this other stuff. This will be interesting." And then I started hearing before the show blew up all the sex that was on the show. I was like, "Oh, they hunching too, unapologetically." Oh, let me give this show a gander. And the minute I watched, it, I was like, "Okay, this show was good." And so I'm glad I got to slide up in there and watch the show before it became this big phenomenon like Beatlemania or something like that, or how these kids be going crazy for these K-pop performers. So since then, now that the show was over, and there's been so much hype because you seeing these kids everywhere. Connor Story and Hudson Williams are everywhere. They're doing the torch lighting at the Olympics, and they're running walking in Fashion Week and sitting front row at Fashion Week, and they're just everywhere right now. So they're like rock stars, even though they're actors. So since then, with all the hype, I guess it's got more people to tune in to the show, and so they said that yeah, that the show over on HBO Max, it's surpassing 10.6 million viewers in the US to date. In a rare streaming viewership update for HBO Max, the streamers shared that Heat of Rivalry has maintained its spot as the most watched scripted acquired series in HBO Max history, thanks to continued buzz generating residual viewers 2 months after the rollout or its rollout. Now, HBO Max touted that viewership of the series saw a consistent week over week growth throughout its debut run, with the finale delivering more than 4 times the audience of the premiere week. But even more impressive is that viewership has more than doubled since the finale, which debuted on December 26th. So now, while Heated Rivalry has undeniably dominated the cultural conversation over the course of the past 2 months, the series has also has yet to show up in Nielsen's top 10 streaming list as of the week of January 5th. Since Heated Rivalry is an acquired show from Crave, the series is competing against streaming juggernauts like Bluey, not a children's show, Bluey, Grey's Anatomy, Bob's Burgers, and Law and Order, among others. Heated Rivalry premiered its first episode on November 28th and rolled out its sixth episode season through December 26th. By December 12th, Crave renewed Heated Rivalry for a second season, which will stream on HBO Max in the US and additional markets. I think if I'm not mistaken, also, I did hear that the UK also just acquired Heat of Rivalry. And I don't know if it's out yet, but I know they're finally going to be able to see what we've been witnessing over here in the US and Canada. So they said watching our show become an international phenomenon has been extraordinary. Show creator Jacob Tierney and executive producer Brendan Brady said in a joint statement, we're profoundly grateful to everyone that has been on this journey with us. Being renewed for a second season so early is a true honor, and we can't wait to bring you even more of what you love. Well, I can't wait for y'all to do that. Hopefully y'all get more episodes. It won't be six. Maybe I can go up to 8 or 10. So that way you can tell the story. And plus they have a new book in the series coming out in September. So it'll be, I think, 7 books total. So they can stretch this out to be a long lasting season. That's if y'all continue to show that y'all want this show to last. And I have to say, one of the casting directors also said this before I forget. She was like that what she hopes with this show is that y'all will continue to go out and hire complete unknowns because nobody knew who Connor Story and Hudson Williams was before they became famous. And I think that's what you go for. She was like, I want people to go and continue to search for unknown actors to put into these type of shows and don't do this thing that I've heard actors complain about, which is y'all want to hire social media influencers and people who are popular on Instagram or whatever the case is as stunt casting to get people's eyes on your show. And what people need to realize is just because you could accumulate a lot of eyes on as being an influence or whatever the case is, doesn't mean you could translate that into a TV show or movie, unless you're Markiplier, where you came out with Iron Lung and your audience alone, because you got millions of followers, you brought them to the movies and your movie became a hit, which is like $30 million that movies gross over $3 million budget in movie. So that's a rarity. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, bring people in old school where it's like they got that chemistry. There's something there where they're like good actors and they actually put in the work and they've trained and they've got the chops and the talent rather than just trying to do this whole Instagram stunt casting because that's not gonna get eyes on the show. And also what I'm hoping is that we get more shows like Heat of Rivalry in the sense of real queer centered stories where people are unapologetically themselves or dealing with type of internal struggle and then also a lot of sex because if y'all sit in here trying to shy away from the fact that the sexual and the homosexual we need to cut that out. I don't know who told y'all that, but if y'all don't want to watch same-sex couples hunting, then don't watch. But we shouldn't have to suppress a part of ourselves because certain groups of people are uncomfortable. And from so far, it seemed like a lot of people are quite comfortable watching this show. Even some of the people you wouldn't think were watching, um, would watch Heat of Rivalry were watching. So shout out to y'all, continued success, and I'm looking forward to season 2 whenever y'all get around to shooting and airing that. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are regarding Heated Rivalry, let me know in the comments down below.